think you should put
logo.
it on now. Can
You
you?
think?
Yeah.
Go on.
I won't look.
We'll edit this bit out.
Maybe I might.
So a more of a thoroughbred horse would have more issues.
A lot more. There's something we've created over the last 300 years. And they're as close to nature as a tomato in Tesco's, I'd say. I nearly lost the end of my thumb on several occasions.
Welcome to Talk Horse.
Our gallop through the highs and lows of the equestrian world.
I'm Pippa Funnell. I've been eventing for many years. I love everything to do with horses. And I'm also now busy coaching and training quite a few people.
In the horse world.
Yes, in the horse world.
I'm Tristan Phipps. You may recognise me from Made in Chelsea. However, there are other strings to my bow. I'm a nature lover, ex-safari guide, and I love all things nature.
So I can't wait for you to meet today's guest. He's a real good friend of mine, a real true friend, and he plays a very key role in the horse world.
I'm very excited to meet him. So, whether you are a seasoned rider, horse lover, or just wanting to know more, like me, this is absolutely the podcast for you.
So saddle up, join our equestrian community, and let's talk horse.
Hello, Pippa.
Tristan, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Before we start, Pippa, we would like to say a massive thank you to Harry Hall for once again sponsoring today's podcast.
Thank you, Harry Hall.
Thank you, Harry Hall. So, Pippa, what's new? What's going on?
Well, for me, for the last 2 weeks, I've got two lovely lads from Japan that have arrived. I've got 3 Japanese riders now that are based with me, so they're training. Really nice guys to work with, and so I've been pretty busy with them, actually.
So how does that work then? So they've come over from Japan to learn from you in the eventing world, or are they already eventing over there? Or
Yeah, they were competing just at 2 and 3 star levels. So the aim is, after the huge success of the Japanese winning team bronze at Paris last year, I think the Japanese now are excited and have sent new,
up and coming.
not new, but younger riders to hopefully bring them through to future games.
Amazing.
So 2 of them are with me. They're another couple up in Leicestershire, based with another rider. And then Angela Tucker, who's very well known within the eventing world, she has her 2 lads that are based with her, and they were actually on the team in Paris. I've got Yoshi, who hopefully one day we'll get him on the pod. I keep on persuading him to come and join Talk Horse. So luckily he's based with me and he speaks very good English. So he does quite a bit of translating. But it's amazing how with horses you can communicate quite
language.
well. And so it's amazing how they're being very quick to pick up the sort of gist of how I'm teaching.
I'm actually intrigued. So obviously Japan have had, great success recently. Are there any other up and coming nations that you feel kind of really starting to, I'm not saying they haven't, already kind of broken into the equestrian world or the eventing world?
I think what's very exciting is it was one of the highlights of the equestrian part of the Olympic Games, is that Japan were a nation that sort of had come up. They weren't expected to win a medal. Yeah. And it's the first medal they'd won, equestrian medal they'd won since, I think, 92 years, and the first eventing medal they'd ever won. So it's huge in Japan what they achieved. But I think within the equestrian world, I think it was really, really positive. And I think it's important that, the sports are diverse and more people can come into it. And I know with William what he's doing with the United Arab Emirates, and it is, and that's what I love about the coaching. That it doesn't matter who I teach. I'm not worried about where they come from. If they're passionate and want to learn about how to do the right thing by the horses, then
anyone's welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. We'll follow the journey, see what happens in the next games.
So hopefully I'll just still manage to fit enough time into helping you when you finally come down for your lesson.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to be as inspired with my skills as you will be with the Japanese eventing team, but I'm a trier. We love a trier.
One thing we have learnt on these podcasts is you just never know where that new pathway is going to be.
Absolutely.
That new path to life. You missed out a couple of episodes ago because we have the merchandise to show you.
The merch.
Firstly, the Talk Horse mugs.
These are iconic already. These are collective items.
I think it's very, very clever, the logo. And it's just very modern and very cool and trendy.
Very clever. That's exactly what I was thinking.
This is specially for you, and we discussed it. And Justine
we like that.
Ward, she was really keen on the hoodie.
Yeah.
And she said that what she wanted out of all of the merch was you in the hoodie.
We're selling that on the website, are we now?
Well, I would
We've
like...
diversified.
So our last episode was with Talis Matson.
Yeah.
Who's got the charity, which...
Absolutely, Nature's Safe.
So maybe you could have the hoodie.
Yeah.
And we could raffle you off in the hoodie to raise money for Nature's Safe.
What do you reckon would be more of an exciting thing, the hoodie or me in it?
I
think probably, just the hoodie. Yeah, that's the real value there.
So there we go. Yeah, you better put it on.
Look at that. I'll tell you what. Look at that embossing. There's no shortcuts there. That is some seriously high quality stash.
You will like this.
So I'll make sure. I'm going to live in that. And also very clever.
I think you should put
logo.
it on now. Can you take your top off?
Just whip it off.
Look, take your top off.
Should I stick it on for the episode?
Yeah.
Go on.
I won't look.
We'll edit this bit out.
Maybe I might. No, I won't.
We're on. We'll censor this out for anyone who's under the age.
Oh, quick. And then we have a Talk Horse fan.
We've got loads of Talk Horse fans now.
Oh, yeah, we have.
What do you think?
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, I do.
For
the listeners, he has just put the Talk Horse white T-shirt on, and there's your baseball cap.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking horse.
I think I might actually... Oh, I should have actually got my phone out earlier.
How's that working? Yeah? Mr. Talk Horse over here.
Very good.
I like it.
So if you're keen to see what we've got, go to talkhorse.shop.
Absolutely. And don't forget, we've got the prize for the Royal Windsor Horse Show.
For the front 4 seats at the
live show.
In the podcast description, it will tell you, not you, Tristan, it will tell
you at home.
Yeah, how to enter.
On that note,
to our next
an exciting guest.
Your
very good friend. How well do you know each other? Am I going to get some exciting Pippa Funnell insights here? Some anecdotes.
I'm actually starting to get quite nervous. He is a very, very good friend of mine.
Was it your groom at your wedding?
Usher.
Groom. That's a husband, isn't it?
Yeah,
he was grooming your wedding?
No.
What an
idiot. He was an usher and he went round going, ush, ush to everyone.
I already enjoy him.
Anyway.
So aside from being an amazing usher.
Yeah, he is an incredible horse dentist. And he and his partner, we call Dobby, Duncan Gibson, have done my horse's teeth ever since I've been with William. And they are known, very well known. And it is an essential part of the management of horses.
Absolutely. Do you brush your horse's teeth, personally? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what do you do? Do they have like chew sticks?
You can ask Chris that one.
That's it. He's probably more qualified.
You can ask Chris.
Fine. Well, on that note, shall we talk horse?
With Chris Warren.
Welcome, Chris.
Good afternoon.
All right.
How are we?
I'm
scared.
You're
nervous for this podcast.
When I said I was a little bit nervous when William came on the podcast, I'm actually nearly a little bit nervous with Chris on the podcast as well. But I thought for
the greater good,
the wider equestrian audience who are listening, I thought you play such a key role. So officially I'm going to introduce you as Chris Warren, Tooth Fairy extraordinaire, the real Tooth Fairy. And are there letters behind your name?
EDT, Equine Dental Technician.
Equine Dental Technician. Yes. Usher. At a wedding.
Usher at a wedding.
At the wedding. Lovely day that was.
Good day out.
Oh.
It was really lovely, and they spent hours sort of doing my hair and putting my veil on, and I arrived and Chris helped me out of the car and trod on my veil and ripped off my head. That wasn't the start of a beautiful friendship, but we've
You've made up since then.
we've had many very good holidays, all of us together, and
A lovely time on your honeymoon.
yeah,
Were you on the honeymoon?
we did the second week.
That's good fun.
Yeah,
Lots of fun.
yeah. So when you say you know, you can count your real true friends on one hand, I'm
We have one here.
very lucky because Chris and Dobby, they're on my one hand. But anyway, this isn't just about friendship. It is about Talk Horse. And
Absolutely.
we want to go right back, if you can remember that far back,
I can
to
remember.
where your passion or where your love of horses began, because your parents weren't horsey, were they?
Not at all. I wasn't from a horsey background. My first love of horses was Western Supermare Beach, having a ride on a donkey. And I enjoyed...
That doesn't surprise me.
No. And from then on, I went on to having a pony and joining the Hampshire 13 Pony Club, where I progressed from there to be a national hunt jockey.
So kind of working your way up through sizes, really, initially. Quite
I
quickly.
was very small, actually. I left school at 15, tiny. Yeah, probably I was weighing about 6.5 stone at that time, and became an apprentice to one of the best flat trainers at that time, Captain Ryan Price, and signed up an apprenticeship to ride on the flat. A year later, I was 3 stone heavier.
Because you ate a lot?
No, just
Grew.
yeah. I hadn't really started adolescence until I was 16, and by the time I was 17,
I don't think you've started
You
it
feel
yet.
that?
So then became too big and moved on to ride jump racing, which I had a reasonably good time up until I rode in a few of the big races.
You might have heard of the Grand
The
National.
National, Whitbread Gold Cup.
That one
etc.
does, yeah. That's very impressive.
Also rans. But actually, I had a couple of great years towards the end of my professional years. And then I had a bad accident. And from one day to the next, I had no idea what I was going to do.
Was it a career-ending accident?
Yeah, career ending. I was brought down by a loose horse. It refused in front of a steeplechase fence, and I met it in the saddle, tipped over. Luckily, the horses were fine, but I wasn't. Anyway, I was left without a job, and came up to Portman Square in London to see the doctor. He said, "There's no way you'll ride again." So I was based at Hickstead, and there was a very great horseman around at that time, and dentist, Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
Not the actor.
No.
No, same name. But he was a great horseman and a mentor to me for a little while. And it was an area of the horse I was always interested in, was the mouth. In those days, out of sight was a bit out of mind. So I progressed to become an equine dentist.
How does that process work then? Is that some sort of...
Well, at that time, there were very few of us in the country. There was a handful. We're going back 34 years. It's such an important area of the horse. So we, my partner and I, Duncan...
Dobby.
Is it Dobby?
So when I was saying about Dobby,
Yeah, Dobby is my house elf. He's, dear guy.
Dobby was named, we have to just say, Duncan was named Dobby because Chris and William's goddaughter Amy, when she was very, very little, Amy Ingalls, who's now jumping sort of internationally, but when she was very little, she thought he looked a bit, he reminded
It's a tough
her
break.
of
It's a
Dobby.
tough one.
And this is your partner in your...
He's
equine
my
dentistry
partner
business?
in life and in the dentistry, and in the horses. We buy horses and produce them as a hobby. Yeah, it's taken us all over the world, actually. I think that's really helped with the dentistry. We understand you need to be a horseman to work around them.
Yeah. Is that because there's the understanding of the horses, or your passion is horses, so you kind of want to be in that world?
I think the passion around the horses and their well-being, and being a horseman to be able to handle situations as well as the owners. I mean,
What's more dangerous, the owners or the horses?
well, and
Always the owners.
a lot of these women think more of their horses than they do of their husbands.
I can understand that. No comment from Pippa.
No, because what I was going to say, these guys, they have to be horsemen because especially when they're dealing with young horses, then they have this gag, don't you? That sort of. Can you explain what the gag is?
It's a mouthpiece. It holds the mouth open. It keeps the horse safe and ourselves, so we can work on the horse freely. I mean, 99% of the horses we work on are used to having something in their mouth every day.
The bit.
So they're used to, people say, how on earth are you doing that? Well, they're used to something jangling around there. So, they're quite accepting of us, actually. And the majority don't need sedation. However, you will find one and you don't want to put them in a stressful situation, and you'll have to provide sedation. Anyway, going on from that, it's gone on to be a great career with the dentistry. People say to me, what happens to them in the wild? Well, the horses in the wild, they're actually survivors.
They're not necessarily in peak physical condition. They're just
the survivors. The sports horses we have, they all go back to 3 horses. That's the Barley Turk, the Darley Arabian, and the Godolphin. And all the sports horses today go back to that, and they produce a lot of problems in the mouth.
So a more of a thoroughbred horse would have more issues.
A lot more. There's something we've created over the last 300 years.
And that's that genetic.
They're as close to nature as a tomato in Tesco's, I'd say.
Bloody good tomatoes, though.
That's for sure.
Okay, so just for the layman's amongst us, me, what exactly does an equine dentist do, and when at what stage would a horse need to see an equine dentist?
You also can ask the question you asked me. I said you'll have to ask Chris that.
And what's your best horse joke?
No.
Oh yeah, so I give my dog every now and then a dentist stick that cleans his mouth, but I'm not brushing his teeth. Would you have to brush with horses' teeth? How does it? How big is this?
There are cases when you have disease in the gingival margin, which is the margin between the teeth and the gum, and there are cases where you do need to keep it clean. It's very rare. The mouth, with its healthy bacteria, is a very good place. They're very quick to heal if they do have a small problem, and we find it as long as you remove the problem, they'll heal very quickly. A little bit like ourselves, you could bite your tongue and make it bleed, and within an hour you wouldn't know you'd done it.
So, say I was, buying a horse from someone. Is that something that
you can tell their age by their teeth? Did you know that?
Oh, I did actually.
Oh, well done. We're trying to educate him.
I've done my homework. How do you tell a horse's age from its?
There's certain areas in the teeth with different shapes and shades of colour, and the teeth become different shapes as they get older. So it's very easy to tell the age of them. It gets a little bit more difficult later in life. But
you heard long in the tooth, that expression?
Yeah.
Well, that comes from the horses, because they
always
teeth
grow?
go longer.
Really?
Yeah.
So at that point, that's when it becomes really important to maintain.
They're not the perfect design, actually, a bit like ourselves. They're not the perfect design.
I've got to think about truth.
Got mine done in Turkey. I didn't actually.
Yes.
Chris, you mentioned that kind of as you started off in the equine dental world. Is this something that's kind of up and coming at the moment? Like, has it changed a lot since then? Because I imagine
there is actually, going back 3,000 years, there are some pieces of equipment that were identified to be used for rasping horses' teeth.
For chariot racing?
Egypt. So they've been, horses obviously, but were a big part of living in an industry until the last century. The thing was that the horses were never looked at routinely, and it was only, I would say, in the last 25 years that we were instrumental in putting horses onto routine visit.
I often say it's actually frightening how few people know how to check their horse's teeth. So many people can often say, oh, my horse is really unhappy in the mouth. You can say, well, have you checked its teeth? And it can cause horse a lot of discomfort when their teeth are sharp, can't it? Really can. And it's important as riders, horse owners, that we recognise if their horse's teeth is a bit sharp. But
I don't really suggest that people go popping their hands in their mouth. You very soon lose the end of your thumb. But there is a certain way
to do it.
There is a certain way, and we do try to educate the owners. I think the way it's gone nowadays is routine on a 6-month basis. You've covered every situation then.
forgive my ignorance, the horse wouldn't go to the dentist. You would go to the horse, right? Quite difficult to get a horse to a dentist.
We do have a situation where 24/7 we have a clinic where somebody can drive if there's something.
The horse box arrives out the back, into the
chair.
That's it. Yeah.
Open your mouth.
Do they get the screen on the top as well? So there is a
stressful that I get to.
Do you get a bit stressed at the dentist?
Oh, I'm terrible with them too. Absolutely terrified.
Love it.
Oh, I'm not keen myself.
Really?
Oh.
Mm.
Well, you've got no teeth.
Well, I have no teeth. I will kick that when I was waiting.
Those teeth aren't real.
What do horses? Can horses?
For anyone listening, Chris just spat out his false teeth.
I was not expecting that at all. Can a horse get false teeth? Is it bonding? Is that
prosthetics? Yes. There are some cases where there's some prosthetics, and there's been some teeth of their own that have they've lost their life, but they're still usable, and they can be reinserted. It's in its infancy, all that sort of prosthetic teeth.
What's the next kind of evolution of horse dentistry that's happening at the moment?
It's evolving all the time. I mean, from the procedures to the equipment. When I started, we had a rusty bucket with a few hand tools, and went round and just knocked the edges off and made them comfortable. And it's moved dramatically now to it's all most
Electric,
of it's done.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's mostly done with profiling drills. They call it power equipment, but it's more for profiling the teeth rather than the old days. You rubbed away and you rubbed at all the teeth, and now you can, if you have a dominant tooth or an over-erupted tooth, you can adjust the individual rather than the whole mouth.
So just talk me through kind of what a day looks like as an equine dentist. Kind of what was you?
I'm actually in the twilight of my career. I have the practice that runs along. We have a dentist been with us 15 years, David Ward. He's doing a lot of treatments, the regular treatments.
Are you training anyone else up, or
yes.
Are you having people approach you? Because I know David's. You mentioned obviously you and Dobby, and then David has been with you 15 years.
Yeah.
Is there interest from youngsters coming?
Not enough. It'd be great if we could have a young person join the team that's passionate. You have to do it for the right reasons. It's not the sort of job. And imagine looking into horses' mouths. You don't just walk off the street and become a horse dentist. I've always been passionate about the mouth.
Where do you think that passion of the mouth came from?
Well, going back, the horses were quite mouthy.
Well, a lot of it's to do with the hands, though, isn't it? Behind the
There is that.
end of the
But
rein.
also, the teeth have to be in a good situation to work with. So it's made a big difference to certain procedures we do, and also hand in hand with the bitting, the bitting of the teeth of the mouth. It's find that very very important. So.
Well, and it's interesting, I find too, that there are people that don't know how to correctly fit bridles. They have either the bit too high or the bit too low.
Or too big. Too big is the biggest
wide,
problem.
yeah,
Too wide.
exactly.
Far too wide.
Is there much education on that for horse owners at home to kind of understand?
Well, people are too quick to move on. They don't do the basics well enough. Because they don't do the basic training well enough with horses then are out of balance, and the first thing you notice is in the mouth. If a horse is on its forehand and the balance is wrong, they'll lean and get heavy on the bit, or they get stronger, and then because of that, people put a bigger, not such nice bit in, thinking, we have more control. But actually, if they go back to basics, and that's something we're very proud of with the Billy Stud, all our young horses are in snaffles.
I must say, I must probably have 1,000 bits around me, and I always seem to go back to
Snaffle.
It always seems to be that way. And you say this horse bit that you always seem to go back to. It actually comes down to how the horse is schooled, really.
So education at that level is very important, then, and kind of learning the good practices early on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I personally think there is a place for flash nosebands and all the different types of nosebands, but absolutely I disagree with cranking nosebands tight
There's always going to be a point of resistance.
Yeah.
And strapping them up as tight as you like is
Not the way to.
No.
I don't find it at all.
No.
I find my horses a lot more relaxed.
Where can people get the information, correct information then?
It's down to horsemanship and spending hours with them. I mean, the shortest way with the horses is the longest way.
Yeah.
The longer you take with them in their basics is the shortest way in the end. If you take a shortcut, it'll always backfire. Always, it seems to always backfire. If you crank the noseband up a big bit, you just end up with a unhappy situation.
Yeah.
Really.
Love your horse but not the high costs? Say hello to the Harry Hall One Club. You'll get public liability and personal accident insurance included in your membership from just £57.24 per year, making horse ownership more affordable.
And did you know they even offer horse box and travel insurance? How handy is that?
Friendly, fuss-free and full of shopping perks, join the club that's got your back in and out of the saddle.
Harry Hall One Club, making horse ownership more affordable.
So obviously putting your hand in a horse's mouth is quite a dangerous situation.
It's extremely dangerous, and my problem is get complacent around the mouth, and I'll walk up to a mouth and they can grab you, and they can grab. And not they're
Show
not
me your
doing-
fingers.
We've got tech. I nearly lost the end of my thumb on several occasions, and it might be every 5 or 6 years.
Then that's a little wake-up call.
Done it again.
Yeah.
So I walk up to a horse, somebody say, can you just have a look at my horse? And I'll be chatting away and pop my hand in it because they're in there. My hands are in horses' mouths all the time, but without the speculum or the gag, as they call it. And you pop your thumb in there. Oh my God, there it is. That's the end of the thumb gone again. And it happens. It's actually stopped happening in the last 10 years, but it was happening too regularly. People
She used to have really long fingers.
These are beautiful nails. There you go, straight up in the horse's mouth.
So yeah,
Don't put your hand in the horse's mouth.
You can be in quite a dangerous situation. You're obviously working predominantly unsedated, and ideally unsedated, because the minute they're sedated, if there is any problems in there and you're starting to examine them and palpate the jaw, they don't feel it.
Yeah.
So I prefer to work unsedated. You will get the odd horse that, like ourselves, doesn't like the dentist.
Oh, please.
Yeah. But that's very rare. That's very rare. It's if you just
amazing.
take the time with them.
And you sort of whistle and sing to them, and
Yeah, you just have
Very
to get them on side before you go at them. There's no point to go in rushing about. As long as they're looking at you and they take a breath, then you know it's time to work.
That's where the horsemanship comes into it.
Well, they're creatures of flight, and they're very aware of stress.
Yeah.
Extremely. I can't, if I'm stressed, I can't work. I remember one day I was working on some horses in Oslo, and the lady had Gay Gulix was waiting to give me a lift to the airport, and the lady said, "Can you look at one more?" And I didn't really have the time to, and I said to her, "I don't really," and I was stressed, and this horse knew straight away, and we just had to delay it till the next visit.
It's fascinating how we've looked at so many different facets of the equestrian world. Like, we've had farriers on here, we've had artificial inseminators, we've had horse dentists, and everything comes together to look after this amazing animal. And every part is so vital and changing so much.
And Chris, let's face it, I mean, you've done our horses I've been with William 32 years.
Since you moved down from Ruth McMullen.
Yes.
I think that must be 1990.
So you were working as a equine dentist at that point when you met, or?
I was treating William's horses.
And then you've always treated mine. But last year he had 8 horses at Paris Olympics.
The Olympics, yeah.
So he's done a lot of...
Had a gold medalist with Jefferson and Scott.
Scott Brash.
We've and Yoshi's horse got a medal with.
Who I was talking
Yeah.
about. One of my...
How about Yoshi? You're a very busy man. Everyone seems to be very busy in the horse world.
Yeah, well, it is very full on.
Yeah.
From morning till night.
Chris travels the world doing teeth. I mean, you and Duncan go to Norway, do teeth there. And actually, when we've been on holiday, Chris...
What's that?
Yeah, he does.
On
He
face.
does the polo ponies in.
Yeah, polo ponies in Barbados.
Nice.
Actually, I have to just say this story about when we were at Oslo Horse Show, and we were going to go out to lunch the last day, and you said you were still packing, and I said, well, I'll come up to your room then. And I went up to their room because I was ready and waiting for them. And as I was in the room, I sat down in the chair, and the porter came to take the luggage down, didn't he? Knocked on the door to take some cases down. And as this guy walked in, Chris said, you couldn't just help hold her down. Chris had this gag. The gag.
For the horse. And pop this on her.
But this is an extra large, isn't it?
We're having he said, we're having terrible problems. Can you just hold her down while we put this gag in her mouth? And this poor chap didn't know what
That is
to do or say.
No, you won't.
So this is one of the famous stitch-ups, Chris stitch-ups.
There's a few of those.
There's been.
I'm intrigued. I think people was a bit cautious coming into this pod about, where it might go. But listen, if there's any fun stories you want to share that I might be able to come back to later.
This guy is the sort of guy, I don't know how he's not been locked up. I mean, he's been telling
so charming.
that we've seen.
Yeah, I've been locked up, he has.
For singing.
I heard you on the mic, Ellie. You got a beautiful voice.
From the Quiet Police.
Because
In Valdez. They threw me into a van.
they won't find us in here.
Here's a story, safari story.
We like those.
I went up the tree in a monkey outfit in the middle of the night.
Yeah. How did you get up a tree in a monkey outfit?
Like that, up the tree. And the chap's run out with a gun. Didn't need to try and shoot me.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think it's important in these podcasts to kind of have a takeaway for people at home. And obviously, we've touched on so many different aspects of the equestrian world. And this is such an important part of horsemanship, having a horse, look after horses. At what stage, would you advise people to kind of reach out to an equine dentist or to start, paying attention?
I would never wait until there's a problem. The minute you're, if it's a new horse, you're owned, for sure, normally they're vetted, and you'll be advised by the vet as to whether it needs some dental treatment. Always, at least once a year, have them looked at. We're keeping them mostly, a lot of them in unnatural environment, and we have great expectations of them, so we need to do the best by them in every department, and it might come down to with competitions that last 2% or last 5%, in the mouth, the feet, the body. You need to, it's all about the welfare.
What people don't understand too, by managing them well, you might think actually a dentist costs money, but it's like anything, isn't it? If you manage them and you're ahead of the game, you actually
welfare will
save money because you then don't have a major issue. And it's the same with everything that you do with horses. That I think if they're managed well, you save on the big.
Oh my lord, the big problems we see, it's too late for us really. Then you say it's too late. Then they're going into spending a lot of money in surgery.
just like us.
Yeah,
You've inspired me. I need to actually get a checkup because it's been a while for me, to be fair.
Oh gosh, who's my shit at the back of my now?
Go on, get the thing out. I'll pull it out for you.
yeah.
Thank you so much,
Here we
Chris.
go again.
Book your dentist. Make sure you go see an equine dentist if you're a horse owner.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Chris. I can honestly say I've never seen Chris so serious.
I reckon you bribed him not to give too many cheeky stories away from your history.
I'm quite relieved. I am quite relieved, but I
Phew.
think, because I think what he had to say is so vitally important in the
Absolutely.
horse world, and I know there'll be a lot of people listening, like probably from your point of view and my point of view, it is, as we've heard, such a key part of the horse's management and well-being, and that's what these podcasts are all about, is educating people,
Absolutely.
not just you.
The horse curious.
Exactly, the horse
But even seasoned riders, I think there's so much stuff we've covered which will be invaluable for people to think about. And, it's always nice to have a takeaway. As much as I would have loved to hear anecdotes of your safari adventures and all the silly stories, at the end of the day, we want to share some wisdom, and it was a very vital thing to touch on.
Absolutely, it was very useful talk horse.
I forgot to ask him what his best horse joke was, though. You're going to have to text him later.
Chris, come back.
Chris, where are you? No, another fantastic episode. Really, really enjoyed that one. And
he's driving me home.
Is he driving you home?
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh,
William, we might meet William for some supper somewhere.
sounds quite a nice idea.
Because William's now finally come back from Abu Dhabi.
You've got all your favourite people in the country, which is quite rare, including me. Come back from Scotland, bliss.
You're all back. You're all back.
We are
Been
all back.
away.
And hopefully you've enjoyed another fabulous episode of Talk Horse. We certainly have. And if you've loved it, please make sure you join our amazing community by subscribing so you never miss an episode.
We love to hear what you have to say, and we're open to suggestions for future guests. If you're interested in letting us know, our email is info@talk-horse.com.
And please do leave us a review. It really does help spread the word. And don't forget, there's a very exciting competition coming up.
For the live podcast show in front of an audience,
And
hopefully more than 4 people, at Royal Windsor Horse Show.
win some merch as well.
And the merch that Tristan is modelling, if you are watching.
Is the Talk Horse sponsored Budgie Smugglers. So make sure you get onto YouTube.
Budgie smugglers?
It's a bit of clickbait, but they want to get onto the YouTube.
Oh, right. We'll have to give Chris some...
We'll send Chris and Budgie Smugglers. I want to hear that story. And a massive thank you again, obviously, to Harry Hall for being our sponsors for today's episode.
Thank you, Harry Hall.
Thank you, Harry Hall.
And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Please join us next time because we've got so much more horse talk to share with you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.